What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Travelin Hustlers podcast. On this podcast, we discuss how digital nomads make money. The podcast is about breaking down the silo effect within the nomad community, and our intent here is to openly provide actionable ideas to hustlers becoming digital nomads. So, your hosts, Miguel and Paris, introducing our paper trails, Veronica and Miguel.
Thanks for joining us.
Put an applause in there.
Pleasure is all ours.
Yeah, we feel really special to be on here, and it feels like I guess we're one of the first ones on here. One of the so we feel super special to be on here.
And we followed you for a while. I think we have a mutual friend as well. I think just the B, friend of the B.
Oh, Brenda Miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember when I first saw y'all on Instagram, and I saw y'all had what kind of van did y'all have initially that y'all were going to build out? And then when I saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, that is a lot of work. And then next thing you know, I saw y'all had a whole different van, and I was like, oh, nice.
That's a whole story in itself.
Yeah.
So what made y'all want to go with the idea of getting a different van versus building it out like y'all were going to initially do it?
Yeah, so that's an interesting story. So the old van her name was Ethel, and it was a 1989 Ford Econoline. We kind of wanted to go like a safe route and purchase something that was less expensive, and so we purchased the Ethel. And we tried to build it out. Initially, we weren't going to build it out ourselves. We thought we'll be able to live in it immediately, but we found mold all throughout the van, and that's when we realized we had to build it. We started watching YouTube videos while working and trying to build it during the weekends, and we realized how difficult it was to do that, especially when you don't have a solid place to actually build. So it took like a year just to like demolish it and slowly like put up the floors and do some insulation. And I guess eventually we got a little discouraged, right?
Yeah,
with
I think
timing.
because we were working full time and like every weekend was like geared towards building up the van, and it just wasn't realistic. And then seeing how a lot of folks that had older vans had a lot of repairs, costly repairs, we're like, okay, maybe we should rethink this and seeing if we actually want to do this long term. Maybe we should get a van that is a little bit newer, not completely new, but like slightly used, has better mileage, has better like just everything. Because we knew with Ethel it was going to be a lot more expensive in the long run, I think. I want to say we quickly found that out, but no, it took us a year.
Yeah.
So then, and then we started looking for a van. We decided, it was very interesting how we decided on the van. Do you want to, because he's the one that initially brought up the idea over dinner.
Yeah, so I felt like we were a little discouraged, and like I remember waking up every day and seeing Veronica and how like she looked a little sad and disappointed. So I think one day over dinner, when we went to this restaurant, I kind of prepared her for the conversation of like, hey, so we have some money saved up. We should probably buy like a newer van. So that's kind of was in my mind, and I prepared her for it, and I was kind of open to her saying no. So I gave her the opportunity to say no and everything, and kind of think about it. And within like 3 minutes, she was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I think
she was super cool.
I think we're already like on the same wavelength. I think as a partner, you kind of have your ebbs and flows, but like very similar goals in life. And I think we've always been like that. So when he was like, well, how about we use this money for the van, and then we could look into one. I think that was on a Friday, and we got our van the following Tuesday.
Yeah,
like that's how quickly
we just moved quick.
And luckily it was pre-pandemic, and so there's vans available, and it wasn't too hard, but it was very quick turnaround.
That is actually pretty interesting, because it's a very similar story. Real quick, we actually moved to Atlanta for a couple of months last year in the fall, and we actually came down to school for some homes and some properties. But we were full-time students, so we didn't do much house shopping because you should unless you got the money. What's the point?
Hmm.
So we considered, we're not ready to buy a house. Um, but what we could do is continue van life, but not in the van that we have.
Mm-mm.
Um, so we were looking for ambulances, shuttle, all kinds of step vans, box trucks, everything. And I said, Paris, we were like, man, we can't find any step vans, we can't find any ambulances, and I wanted like the medium duty, large ambulance, the biggest ones that you see, huge ones. And I said, Paris, if you can find us a Sprinter van in the price range, then we can do that, And I went to sleep. She stayed up, found a gym. She found a gym that the dealership put on the market the day before.
Mhm.
And I called them as soon as they opened the next morning. The guy was in the van driving it to the dealership. And we met him that day and bought the van that day. So that was like within, I wouldn't even say within 48 hours. I would say within 24 hours because we were up
Yeah.
real late and we went to sleep. And then the next morning, we were proud owners of a Sprinter van. So that was
Nice.
very quick, like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, what made y'all decide to go into the van life movement?
Yeah, there's a few reasons. I think a few reasons. I think we can start with maybe the finance part of things.
Mhm.
I've always been more like I love budgets. I love like spreadsheets. I love kind of figuring out our income and expenses and like saving and all that. So with van life, I realized you could really minimize what you have, just physically, materialistic, but also pay off your debt. And what we had,
Mhm.
what we still have is student loan debt. Um, so there's a few reasons, but I think there's a couple that are more like driving factors. And I think with student loans, um, we're going to be able to pay off our student loans by the end of this year.
Nice.
It's
Mhm.
so exciting. We're so excited, and it's because we budgeted so well. Because we kind of instead of paying rent, we're able to pay off our loans faster. I work at a school and trying to take advantage of like teacher loan forgiveness programs as well. I'm in the process of doing that right now. So that was a huge factor, the student loans.
Yeah, and then, I mean, a big one too was like you like traveling. So
Yeah, that was
like
huge.
so we've been married 5 years, and one of Veronica's goals was to travel like backpacking. So we try to incorporate that in our life somehow. And for some reason, van life actually made a lot more sense in terms of traveling. I personally don't like traveling, like carrying backpacks and going from like hotel to hotel. I don't really like that experience. But van life was cool because you just take her home with you, and
Mhm.
you get to explore, and you still get to like chill. And I like taking naps sometimes, so it's fun to be able to take a nap and then go explore again. So
Yeah,
those are the things that kind of drove us.
yeah, and also like finances, being able to save money to
Yeah,
buy
that was
investment
huge.
property. That's like future goals.
Mhm.
And we're trying to do that process right now as well with the money we've saved. So it's just being like wise and smart with the money that you're saving and not just spending it, um, but spending it wisely and making like those decisions that will affect our future in the long run.
So like, yeah, I guess in summary, like being a minimalist was like a huge one. Like taking care of our student debt, also saving for a future home, and like traveling. Those are like the main reasons that like really drove us to van life.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've already said it a couple of times about the financial focus, but we
Mhm.
ask everyone who comes on here out of the three choices that we have, which is your primary goals being saving, investing, or earning. Out of those three, which one was your main focus?
You said saving, earning.
Investing or earning or making money? Like, yeah, are you trying to
Yeah.
stack up, or are you trying to, build stockpiles of cash, or invest and put your money to work?
Mhm.
It's kind of, I mean, that's a very tough,
Like a little bit of everything.
yeah, because I feel like I think when we first started, it was all about paying off debt. I think that was like our main focus. And then when we actually realized we saved up so much money very quickly, we were like, oh, like there's new problems. How do we invest it? You know, where do we allocate our money? And I think like those are good problems to have, obviously, but we started thinking a little bit differently. But initially we started off with like, let's pay our debt. Because I mean, it's a crisis for so many people. And it like, you know, limits people from buying homes, from getting married, having kids. It's a big problem. So that was our initial drive. Like, let's get rid of it. Let's own, you know, yeah, that was the main driving factor.
Yeah, and I think we just like put our head down and like work and paid, like just pay off our debt. Kind of, we were in that mentality. And then when we were like, okay, well, this is gonna happen this year, and now we can kind of focus on like the money that we're saving. What can we do with that?
So we're in a transitioning phase, I would say. Now we're like, now we're more like, let's save and let's invest. Let's make our money work.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, when we first started, it was all about getting out of debt. And then, like you said, we're like, well, can't be financially independent, financially free without investing in something, you know. Multiplying the money that you have. And then now it's like, well, how are we going to make some more? Because we were students, you know, and now we have careers that we need to develop and make some more money that way as well. So the big three: save, invest, and make more money.
Exactly.
So y'all mentioned that y'all budget a lot, and that's the same thing we do over here. So I wanted to know, like, how do you guys manage to budget together and really stay on the same page of like the same goal?
Yeah, I think we're lucky because we're very similar in how we handle money. But since I like the numbers, he's more like, well, I don't know. I feel like I like to see exactly the numbers and see where it's gonna go.
You always say I'm idealistic, the big picture dude.
Yeah, that's true. I'm more tedious in like the numbers. Like I said, more analytical, more like kind of logical, and like, okay, so we have this amount, we're gonna put that towards there.
She's both.
So
nice.
Yeah, Miguel's very big picture, like where we kind of want to go, and then I'm like, okay, how are we going to get there? How are we going to do it? So I think we work really well.
Oh, so just a Navy reference. So Miguel is the captain, and Veronica's the conning officer. So if y'all don't know, the conning officer is telling the helmsman where to go. Come left 5 degrees, and then, you know, they hit, you know, the captain and them, they work together, and then conning officer takes over and gets where, you know, we need to go.
Yeah, I think that's exactly.
It's a funny dynamic though, because sometimes she brings me back to reality. She'll ask me simple questions, but like, what about this, and this? I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I didn't think about that. You know, it's too concrete for me. I just know where I want to go.
That's me.
And so what are some ways that y'all make money on the road?
So since we are stationary right now in the Bay Area, people always ask us, like, what do you do? Like, how do you work on the road? I'm like, well, right now we have stationary jobs. So I'm a speech language pathologist, and I work in a school in Oakland. So I've been there for 5 years. I've been a speech therapist for about 7 years. So I'm doing that, but I also started my online, like a virtual business for speech language therapy. I just did that last year, and it's like on the side. Obviously, I have a full-time job, but just taking like my own clients, or kind of doing, being more specialized in what I want to work in eventually, and making it virtual, and making it functional for the type of lifestyle that we want to live, which is more flexible, traveling on the road. Yeah.
So I feel like we're doing a lot of groundwork right now. Like, we're really making sure that, like, when we do travel, when we're out, you know, that we actually have like financial systems. So Veronica is like working towards like building her business, and you're also looking at different like stuff on the road. So that's kind of like, we're very cautious in terms of like, you know, taking, you know, big leaps. We want to make sure we do things safely. We take a lot of calculated risks. And for her, it's starting her business and being able to work virtually. That was your, and you thought about this like a year ago before the pandemic.
Yeah, even pre-pandemic, it was actually going to a friend's birthday, and we were just walking around. I'm like, I think I can make this work. I was like, I know people have done it, and I know I can do it. I just don't know how. So I just started. I think once the pandemic hit, I was like, I think I had a little bit more time to think about it and research. So I just dove deep and opened it and like started seeing clients and figuring it out.
Which is cool because it's like a slow process, but eventually, hopefully, like once we end up leaving, you have a little bit more clients and we're able to fund some of our travels. So
do you guys, it was a bittersweet thing for me. And I don't know about for Paris, but maybe I do know the pandemic. But do you think that the pandemic was an opportunity for you guys?
I think so. Yes and no. I think when the pandemic hit, my job was closed, school was closed, his office was closed. And I think that opened me up to like not having anywhere to go or be because everything was closed. And just being more focused and like, okay, I want this to work and I have this time. I need to do this now when I have the time. Or else there's going to be excuses later on that, we always tell ourselves. So for me, I think that was a great opportunity.
And also too, like, I think the world is more open to like virtual therapy. So that kind of worked in your favor.
That worked out perfectly because now a lot of like schools and clients and are open to virtual services. And it's not like such a new thing. It was always there all along, but you have to convince people.
Yeah, people were skeptical.
We can still do this.
Now everybody works from home, so they're like everyone's open to it.
Yeah, exactly. And just being more creative with what I want to do, because if you're even a like speech therapist or mental health therapist, you're licensed in the state. So even when you travel, you need to be licensed in the states that you are traveling in. So I was like, okay, so I can't get a license in every state. It's going to be too difficult, too expensive to renew. But there's other ways I can make money being like doing what I love on the road. I just have to figure that out.
Yeah, and I guess to answer your question as well, like for me, I guess the pandemic kind of gave me an opportunity to like pursue something that I was kind of interested, but didn't really have the time to. So I took a boot camp, like a coding boot camp, and I finished it off while I was also working. So that kind of just helped me to go back to school and kind of just see if I was interested in like full stack web development. And I'm still very interested in it. I still take online classes every now and then, but it's kind of preparing me for like a virtual digital nomad sort of space. As far as figuring out what I'm going to do while we travel, I'm not too sure yet, but I'm hoping I'm able to apply what I've learned and maybe take on some projects. So
yeah, I was just wondering like how accessible is it for y'all to travel, because y'all both have stationary jobs, but y'all also have the opportunity to travel a lot. How is it? Like, is it easy, hard?
Yes, it's kind of difficult, right, with our schedules. But I have a lot of accumulated time, like a lot of time off. So whenever I get the chance, like I'll take a few days off and we'll go somewhere and then, come back to the Bay Area.
Yeah, and I work at a school, so I've like already allotted, vacation right now, summer vacation. So it's already preset for me. So he just like, I tell him like, okay, I have 2 weeks off. So where are we going to go for this 2 weeks?
Yeah.
But then we always come back to kind of the Bay Area once like we go back to work. The goal is for like next year to really start traveling and being outside of California and seeing the States, and hopefully if the world opens up a little bit, Canada or Alaska.
Yes.
And so y'all house it, right? So
yes,
how is it house sitting? Do you enjoy it? I want to know the experience, because we've thought about doing it, but we haven't taken the steps of going actually into the website and doing it. But we was like, maybe we could do this.
Yeah, I found it through someone on Instagram, and I was like, oh, that would be interesting to do on the road. Um, when we kind of travel full time, and then I applied in January. There's really no people looking for house sitters. That was during like high COVID times.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, okay, maybe in the summer we'll see. And we love it. Right now, our van Frida is in the shop.
Yeah.
We had some things happen to it after our trip from Oregon, and it's in the shop. I think we'll pick it up on Wednesday or something.
Yeah.
But it worked out perfect because we're able to kind of arrange house sits around this time, so we don't have to, because we don't have family in the Bay Area. So we're able to have housing for free while our van is in the shop, and we don't have to pay for like a hotel or Airbnb or something like that.
Yeah.
And that worked out.
That
perfect.
worked out really well.
We really enjoyed it.
So what do you
It's
guys
mainly
use?
dogs and cats.
Oh, dogs and cats. So what platform do you guys use? Is there multiple platforms, or like how does that work?
Yeah, we use Trusted House Sitters.
Trusted House Sitters.
Yeah, we've heard of that.
Yes, that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so what I know that you guys have Frida right now in the shop, and is this the highest expense that y'all had to pay on the vehicle so far?
We got kind of lucky. We have warranty, so it turns out that they're gonna fix it for free. But it would have been $2,800 if we didn't have warranty.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's only because Miguel had like a little inkling in his brain about we should double check our warranty
because
coverage.
initially, like when I took it in, the service technician was like, "Oh no, like this is not covered," and blah blah blah. You know, they gave me the whole spiel, and then I was just like, "No, this can't be right." So I called like 7 dealerships. I called a ton of people, and everyone was like, "Yeah, this should be covered." So when I called back my technician, I was like, "Hey, can you explain to me why my vehicle's not covered?" Lo and behold, he's like, "Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. It is covered. You're not gonna have to pay anything." I was like, "Okay, well, cool."
Nice.
It worked out.
Yeah, so you don't pay anything. So
That's great. That's great.
And how was it still under warranty? Was it like a 5-year warranty or something like that on the vehicle?
So it's under 60,000 miles and it's less than 5 years old. So on the 2018 Ram ProMaster, apparently, like that's kind of the warranty thing that they had on it.
And we're at 50.
We're at 58,000.
We're at 58,000, so barely under the warranty.
Yeah, barely.
Yeah. And so what would have happened if you guys wasn't under the warranty? Would you have to have paid for it? Do you have like emergency fund or some type of like a lot of funds to fix it on the van?
Yeah. So we already, I mean, initially he was like, we're gonna have to pay out of pocket. I'm like, okay, thank God we have an emergency fund for situations like this. And you know, it's bound to happen. We live in a vehicle and it's gonna have to be serviced. Things are gonna break down. And you have to be realistic and have that fund.
I was like okay with between 5 to 8. I mean, obviously the lower the better, but I was thinking like maybe we're gonna pay between 5 to 8,000. So that's kind of what we were thinking, because dealerships tend to run pretty expensive. But it turned out to be lesser than I thought. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, so we do have an emergency fund. We definitely have that. And I think we recommend anybody to have it. You know, it's kind of like a home. If you purchase a home, like there's gonna be stuff that happens to your home, and you have to have some capital to fix your home.
And obviously the dealer is more expensive. So
yeah,
that's for diagnostics, but then we would like take it to someone more affordable.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. So, you know, this is a big topic in van life, and you know, most of the people that I don't know about the people in the future that we bring on here, but the couple people that we have so far have had to do things like engine replacements, and us ourselves had to replace the entire fuel system, the injectors, the high pressure fuel pump, the fuel rails, the low pressure fuel pump, etc. So not much have I heard about what goes wrong with Promasters. So if you wouldn't mind asking, like what happened, like what's the problem?
So a few things is actually in the past like few months, a couple of things have gone wrong with the Promaster. One of them was that my oil was leaking. So I guess with the type of vehicle that we have, it's just a 3.6 liter. I don't know what they call it, but it's a 2018 Ram ProMaster 2500 3.6. Those vehicles specifically, they leak oil because of the oil gasket holder. Apparently, like it's some component of it is made out of plastic. So if you get an oil change and the person doesn't know that it's made out of plastic, they might tighten it too much and it will crack. So luckily I had warranty. They replaced it because it's such a common issue with the ProMaster for that vehicle specifically. And also what happened recently was that the axle broke and also the intermediate shaft. Those are the two things that broke down on it. And they said that that's not a common issue. Like it shouldn't happen. But yeah, that's kind of what happened with our vehicle.
You know, and I'm afraid because, you know, we're in a 170 extended Sprinter, and you know, the Nissan was cool. It was pumping in San Francisco. I'm talking about up California like this, you know. You know, and I'm afraid to take this thing into San Francisco and actually live there, like, and commute around. We're gonna have to stay on the Embarcadero the whole time because, you know,
yeah,
I know that just sound. I don't know. I mean, and it definitely doesn't sound common. So I'm glad everything worked out for you guys. And in the future, just know that for people listening, that you might have to fork out $3,000 for broken axle and the other thing that you said.
Oh, the intermediate shaft.
The
Yeah, that's right.
shaft. You know, that's scary because she was getting ready to quit van life.
Yep. I said, Lavelle, I'm not paying $6,000 for this van. We're going to sell this, get it fixed, and sell it. And Lavelle, you know, he had hope in it. He said, let's just fix it and let's just move on. And I was just like, you know what? Okay. But another purchase like that, I don't know.
$6,000. And we just bought it. We had it for less than a month.
Wow. Yeah, that's tough.
But I put the wrong fuel in. I put filled it up gas in the diesel, and then tried to keep starting it and tried to keep going, destroying the fuel system.
And your Nissan was a gas, I'm assuming.
Yeah, the Nissan was a gas, and we had the Nissan. We were traveling with both of them at the same time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, wow, so that is confusing, man. That's tough. Yeah.
So y'all both mentioned that you both are like really like budgets and stuff like that. And so I wanted to know, like, what is your earliest memory of like money?
Ooh, that's a good one.
You want to go first?
You can go first, yeah.
Like,
what did you say?
No, if you want to go first. Yeah. No, but I could go first. Yeah. Man, I know there's an emotional component, like, you know, tied with money, and I don't think I've fully analyzed it and, you know, try to figure out how I relate to money. But I know that money for us, like for me growing up with my family, it's always been it's been tough. I feel like it's been like a survival sort of life, you know, with my mom, and I grew up with a single mom and I have siblings. So, yeah, I think for me, it's always been like this, like sort of survival. Like money is not something necessarily that you can have an abundance of, I guess. And just, I guess now that I've gone to school and, you know, I've gotten a decent job, I'm starting to view money a little bit different and starting to see it as like, how can I use it as a vehicle, and how can I use it to work for me? So I'm learning, you know, how to have a different relationship with money, and more like, I guess, objective and, you know, view of it. I don't even know what that means, but yeah.
Yeah, I understand. You know, even though my dad, he was in the Navy, my mom, she worked a factory job, and, you know, I grew up not to ask for things because I already knew what the answer was, you know, and I looked at it was like, but maybe not have an abundance of, I didn't have, but I always knew that one day I would have an abundance of it somehow, some way, you know. And now that I'm an adult, it's up to me to bring that into reality.
Exactly.
For me, I also grew up with a single mom. My dad died when I was really young. So as my mom was an immigrant from Colombia, and so she started working when she came to the States. selling furniture and then selling the big semi trucks that you see on the highway.
Mm-hmm.
So she's always been in sales. And so for me, money has always been like, you have to work 10 times as hard in sales than like a normal job where you get a normal paycheck. For her, it's like, I got to close this deal. I got to close this deal like all the time, stressing about like, is she going to close this deal to make money? So it's always been like, there's been times where it's been really good and other times where it's been really bad with sales. So I always thought about it as money as like, well, you can't rely on it, but I'm never going into sales because that stress of not really having a consistent paycheck. I grew up with like, oh, I just need a stable job. Just seeing my mom work very hard, I was like, I need to go to college. I need to like have like a stable job, and I did that. And now I think I'm at a point where I can think more creatively of how I want to earn money in a way that kind of feeds into our lifestyle.
You know, not to boost competing podcasts, but it sounds like you're trying to earn your leisure. that's a very popular podcast, but as soon as you said that, it was just like boom, so that was really, I can really understand and connect with you on there. But come on, Paris, what's your
Well, thank you for sharing your stories. Yeah, so I grew up with my dad. Like my dad was a crack addict, and a lot of the times we lived on Section 8 food stamps. And that's how we survived. Like the government helped us, but we still went hungry because the food stamps was not enough. We still at times went homeless. And so my earliest memory of money was like basically seeing my dad get money from the government, but we still was like trying to survive. It wasn't like he was teaching us financial literacy because I don't think he necessarily knew it. And so once I got older, now I'm like, this is something I want to teach to my kids. And I think that it should be talked a little bit more about. Like, that's why we started this podcast, because it was like, how are people making money out here? Like, well, we graduating. How are we going to make this money? Like, Vanlife has really been like this help for us. Cause I don't think we would be homeless because we have family to go to, but in a way we would have been homeless, like not living in a stable home.
That's a good point. Yeah, I feel like Vanlife helped, like it really helped us accelerate a lot of our goals. Like we could have met all of our goals, but it would have taken like twice or three times as long. So Vanlife just really gave us the opportunity to like get that boost and like start living our lives.
Yeah,
for sure.
Accelerate the life. Accelerate life. Just like
get
to where you want to be more efficiently.
Exactly.
Faster. Yeah.
I think also growing up, I saw my mom like balance a checkbook, like an actual checkbook with a pen. And I used to like copy her, just get like as a kid, like, oh, what are you doing? And then I remember her like paying out her bills and like putting stamps on the envelopes, and I would help her like send the bills like to the post office. But then there's never really talk of savings because she always put anything extra towards us, me and my two older brothers. So she's an awesome, incredible mother. But I think saving, it was just too difficult because there wasn't enough to save. And if there was always something to fix or to pay or to do with 3 kids. And so I was like, I know I want to save. I just didn't know how, but I was like, we'll figure that out too.
Yeah.
Cool. So, it's time to plug all of your businesses into the Travelin' Hustlers community so that people can get in contact with you guys on social media and you're into your revenue streams, hopefully. So, what's
you want to go, babe?
Yeah. So our Instagram is Our Paper Trails with the S at the end. And we just started a YouTube channel in January. We're hoping when we get on the road, we could do more videos. Right now, we have a video out the last Sunday of every month, and it's the same Our Paper Trails. where we kind of just talk about how we live on the road, stationary, but also kind of our trips that we've done. And hopefully we're able to monetize that. We're not banking on it, but
it's an
another
option.
opportunity.
Yeah, it's
we'll
an
see.
option.
Right. You have anything?
No, I think that's all we have. So.
Cool.
And so what about your virtual speech classes that you do, Veronica?
Oh yeah. So I also well, he is going to build my website.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's
eventually.
right.
So I don't have a website yet, but it's Bilingual Speech Therapy World. I really focus on students who are multilingual language learners, coming from different backgrounds and different language exposures. And so I have an Instagram account too, under Bilingual Speech Therapy World.
Bilingual Speech Therapy World. Okay, cool. Because are you familiar with Baseling?
What is it?
Baseling. It's like a you can learn unlimited lessons with actual people who speak Spanish from anywhere in, from Spain to Chile to Argentina, and it works for people. It didn't work for me in particular, so maybe I need to check out.
That's only because that's only because Lavelle really doesn't speak it to other people. So if we're at a Mexican restaurant, I say, Lavelle, just go and order it in Spanish, and he don't necessarily do it. I think that's where you were failing at.
Okay. All right.
Well, we both speak Spanish, so if you ever want to talk to us, we can help.
I speak Spanish too, and I get self-conscious, so don't worry, man. I get it.
Hey, I thrive on being competent. That's my thing. That's my vice is competence.
Yeah,
you
I
gotta
feel you on
practice.
that.
You gotta stick your neck out there. So
Exactly.
maybe
Well, if you take the van down to Mexico or Baja, a lot of practice there.
Yeah, a lot of practice.
That's funny.
So you mentioned about the YouTube channel. This is my last question. You mentioned about the YouTube channel and monetizing it, and we've been doing it for 4 years, and we've not seen much money. And we hear a lot of times that people say, they're into van life and now they want to start a YouTube channel, and people think that it's easy to just really get those numbers up there. And so, how has the experience been for you of having a YouTube channel?
That's a good question. I think right now we're not even like too focused on monetizing, but we know it's somewhere distant in the future. But our experience so far has been like it's a lot more difficult than it seems. Like from video, from filming, from having good lighting, from having proper audio, from the equipment, from stable footage, like to editing, from uploading. Just there's so much work behind it that it really can be a full-time job if you take it to the extreme. Let's see, you have anything to add?
I think we think about it as a hobby right
now.
And
exactly.
then when we're more on the road and don't have our stationary jobs, we'll kind of put a little bit more work into it. We're not banking again on it being monetized. If it does, it does. But we're not gonna. You can't force the numbers to work on your page,
Wow.
And so we're like, if it works, it works. If not, then at least we have videos there of us doing random things.
And then I guess the quota too is interesting, right? You have to have 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers. So we're kind of seeing that move up a little bit, bit by bit. But I think we're at 1,500 watch hours and 300 subscribers. So we still got a long way to go before we can even monetize it.
Yeah, you can definitely. Sometimes it just the fact that you can monetize sneaks up on you. Boom, now it's like, oh well, am I going to turn this into a business? Because it's basically a media company. It's a media arm of whatever company that you're doing. And for you guys, it'd be Our Paper Trails Media Company on YouTube, and it's like its own business. But for us, after 4 years, Veronica hit it on the nail. And it's exactly the same thing Paris said. She said she doesn't want it to be a hobby. It's either a business or it's a hobby. And if it's a hobby, then it's not that high on my what is it, priorities,
All
and
right.
that's exactly why we are here with the Traveling Hustlers podcast. Now culture is now like our travel vlog space instead of us trying to do all of this marketing and developing products and stuff like that for something that's a hobby,
Mm-hmm.
So,
True.
here this is our bread and butter, and it's actually been a great experience
Yeah, it's been
doing the
fun.
podcast. Yeah.
So that's so interesting. And was that a hard? I mean, I know. Sorry to ask a question, but was that like? I feel like I'm interviewing you guys now.
No
Um,
problem.
was that like a difficult transition to come to the realization, like, hey, like let's make the podcast a priority versus a YouTube channel? Was that a difficult thing to do? Did you feel like attachment to the experience of filming?
I did because I'm a filmmaker. That's what I'm going to school
Oh wow,
for.
nice.
And so for me, I was just like, like we've been debating on this for like a year or so. And I was just like, Lavelle, I want to do the YouTube thing of showing our life, but is it really like, are we trying to make money off this or do we just want to show our life? So it was kind of hard because I was like, it was inspiring. It's inspiring to people, but at the same time, it takes a toll on us. And I care more about my health more than I want to upload and try to fulfill someone else's.
Living vicariously through me or through us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that difficult. It was like 75-25%.
But
Oh,
what I,
nice.
what I would say is that we almost quit so many times. Just like I can't even count on my fingers how many times. And we just held on to it like some people hold on to their house, or something like that. We just held on to it, and we were like, you know what, a podcast, you can connect deeper. You can make
Yes.
deeper connections, have real conversations, and actually do something. Because really, novel culture was our life. It's our journey. That's how it started. Then we were like, oh well, we can monetize it, but nothing really fit for us to monetize. Nothing really warranted us running a business around novel culture. That took away from what Paris wanted to do, it took away from what I wanted to do. We would have to make that our thing and go all the way with it, which we could have done, which anybody could do, but some people have full-time jobs and careers that they already had in mind, so it's just like, you could do it for a journey, you can do it for yourself. Novel cultures for ourselves. We can go back into playlists. We have a lot of unlisted videos and say, oh, I remember that, that was so
Mm,
cool. And, have those moments for ourselves,
exactly.
down the line and for our kids and our grandkids, if YouTube is still around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this podcast gives us an opportunity to actually talk to someone, like I actually was really excited to talk to y'all. Like I was like, Lavelle, they on the same page. We on, money, like getting out of debt, investing, all that. And I was like, I want to talk to people like that. I don't want to just share and be inspired. I also want to, receive something from someone else. Like I want to have a conversation that's going to help me because we're in a point in our life where we just graduated and it's hard out here. Like other people
Yeah.
have ideas on how to make money, and I want to know, I want to pick their brain and know.
Yeah, I think the podcast platform is so amazing, just like with everything you just said, but also builds relationships
Mm-hmm.
with people that we've never met you, but we've been like Instagram buddies for a while.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like I've always felt very close to you guys because it's very similar, like our goals, kind of like what you said, Paris. So it's always nice to like meet and talk to like-minded folks.
Yeah, and that's why
Sure.
breaking down the silo effect, because we're in our bubbles, we're in our
Hmm.
worlds, and Instagram and YouTube kind of web us together, but it's still not really a community. It's tight knit communities here and there, but the greater goal of becoming digital nomad is what many of us want. We all want to be able to travel and do what we want to do. That's why we're here. So, yeah, hopefully,
Exactly.
we believe, we know that this platform is going to explode, you know, to tooting the Traveling Hustlers horn, and
Oh, for sure.
not just because of us or novel culture, but because of the actual actionable um, ideas that you can jump on, and people can go directly to you guys and maybe ask you guys questions in your DMs or wherever they can get in contact with you. So yes,
And also, like you mentioned, like people are going to feel more connected to you guys through these podcasts because you're talking to real people, having honest conversations about finances. So yeah, it's definitely going to help out and bring people together.
cool. So so I think that will conclude our podcast for today.
Thank you
Kind of
so
went over a
much.
little bit by 17 minutes, but it's fine. You know, it's cool.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. We
Sorry.
really appreciate it. We feel honored to be on here.
Yeah, and we'll make sure to share your Insta page too. And excited to hear more stories on the podcast.
Well, absolutely. So it's time to get us out of here and get the outro done. So thank you very much for tuning in to the Traveling Hustlers podcast, where we educate and motivate digital nomads on making moves to achieve financial freedom and entrepreneurial success on the road. We want to know something from you guys. What is your next move? What are you going to do next? Peace out, y'all.
Adios.
Bye.
Peace.